Oh,
It's a good song.
yeah, for sure.
Good day, everybody. Welcome to the Ammunation. This is Ammunation episode 15, and I'm here tonight with the industrious Irving Twin.
Ooh.
Because Irving was telling me before we went live that he was working his tail off this week because he took a week off because he was a little under the weather. So he felt he needed to make up for the missed time. Are you sniffing your cork?
Yeah.
That sounds like a euphemism.
Quit sniffing your cork.
Quit sniffing your cork. Actually, that's something you could say to somebody who says something off the wall or out the window. Like, quit sniffing your cork.
It's best if you say it with a pikey accent, though. Quit sniffing your cork.
Quit sniffing your cork. Let me shut that door so that. Excuse me a moment. There we are. Oh man, I just caught myself in profile walking back from the door. I am a fat piece of shit.
Camera adds 10 pounds.
You know what? I was looking in the mirror the other day. Like my wife and I, we in the bathroom, right? We share a mirror. Mm-hmm. We don't have dual vanities, but we have one area where we do our morning things, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm in the mirror the other day looking at myself with my shirt off. I'm like, God, I look like a fat piece of shit. I'm like, honey, I'm a fat piece of shit, and I feel really down about myself right now, and I need you to give me a compliment. And she says, well, your eyesight's near damn perfect. That's a Norm joke. I stole that joke from Norm.
I was just going to say, I thought we were saving the tribute to Norm for later.
Yeah, I had to get it out there. I'm sorry. Yeah, we'll talk more about Norm passing a little bit later. But looks like we already have some comments. We've got Costin and Craig Bragg looks differently ugly today. Yes, I'm differently ugly. I'm growing my beard back. This is the pre-mustache beard, so I have to grow the whole thing in a little bit, and then I can trim back the rest when my mustache comes in a little bit thicker.
Where you can
Thank you very much. And he also says Irving Twin looks to be differently ugly as well.
Buzzed it. Yeah, thanks. Thanks for noticing. I do it myself.
Well, I hate to tell you this, Costin, but at least I'm not sideways.
Look at this sorry sideways motherfucker.
Sorry sideways motherfucker. Anyway, how you been, man?
Me or Costin?
No, you. I don't give a shit about Costin. I'm just joking. I appreciate you being here, Costin. Thank you.
Like you mentioned, it's been a long, hectic week for me, but I had like 4 espressos today in the kitchen at work, so I am fucking revved up, ready to go.
4 espressos. I like a coffee now and again, but I can't do espresso. Too strong, too bitter. Like I would have to lay it down with like tons of sugar if I were going to drink espresso.
And for me, it's the bitter, strong that is the appeal.
You're Italian.
And I mean, like most times I only drink coffee before work because if I have too much caffeine, I won't be able to sleep. So Friday nights, though, especially if we're going to do a stream and I'm going to have a few drinks, I get to go into our nice kitchen and make free espressos, and they're actually quite good coming out of this fucking machine.
What do you got? One of those Nespressos?
No. It's like a big like industrial machine to serve 100 people as much coffee as they want.
Wow, that's nice.
Yeah. And you just put your cup in and hit the button, and it's free, right? That they just give us free coffee all day, as much as we want. So, yeah.
They treat you well there over at that workplace.
That's right. They do.
That's good.
That's good. I feel much appreciated. That's why I felt like, having been so understanding about me being sick last week, anything that they asked me to do, I just did it.
Well, you look to be the picture of health to me.
Oh, well, thank you.
Now, at a work, do you ever hear any munchie kids call it espresso?
Well, I live in Toronto, so literally every person who isn't Italian says that, yes.
Does that bug you when they call it espresso? Do you correct them?
It's yeah. It just drives me nuts.
I don't drink it. I know it's espresso, just like I know you don't call it a gyro, you call it gyro. Gyro. At least I'm not from Toronto. Excuse me, Etobicoke, or even worse, whatever city you come from. At least those animal pictures are cute. Yeah, those are my menagerie. 3 of which are no longer with us.
Oh.
But yeah, those are my animal pictures. My wife did those. She got those all done up, photoshopped them and everything. Thank you for noticing. I'm in Borrington, Ontario, which is west of Etobicoke. And you're in, I think he said he's in London, right? London area?
No, Stratford, I think.
Stratford have nice plays every now and again. So what is new? What is new with you?
With me or with the craziness?
Oh, there's lots of craziness to talk about.
Yeah, it's so much fun.
Turn off the Ammunation starting soon and put on Welcome to the Ammunation. There we go. Yeah, no, I know there's lots of craziness. If you saw the title card before tuning into the night's live stream, it was a very beautiful picture of one Nicki Minaj. Now, I was not familiar with Nicki Minaj until this whole controversy exploded. So I took, some time to watch some of her music videos. She is a degenerate, but man, has she got a nice butt. She's got tips for days. And her music's not bad. It's just degenerate. But
yeah, sex sells. Good for her. Yeah.
It does, but you know what? I don't know what it is about me. I don't mind sex appeal in a woman performing her music. I don't like a woman being crass about it. Like, for instance, Madonna had sex appeal, and she did, yes, and she skirted that line, right? Like most of her stuff that was really controversial was in relation to, her thumbing her nose at religion, right? So, but she wasn't like, talking about anaconda dicks and stuff like that. But that's okay. Whatever, gets you doing what you're doing and gets you success. Hey, as long as you're not hurting anybody. But yeah, I think she's got talent. It's not my kind of music, but I understand the appeal. What are your thoughts on her music career?
No, like you said, it's not for me. If I'm not mistaken, she was formerly part of a group called Massive Attack.
Oh, was she?
Yeah.
The name sounds familiar, but I'm not familiar with what they've done.
All of that late 90s, early 2000 ambient music you might have heard in movies, video games, commercials, theme songs to television shows.
Okay.
Literally all of it was Massive Attack.
No shit, eh?
Like the scene in Snatch where they're burning down Mickey's mom's caravan. That's okay. Massive Attack. The theme song to House. That's Massive Attack.
See, I never watched House. I know it was a popular show, but I never watched it. But yeah. Okay.
The original music for the first commercials for the original Assassin's Creed, Massive Attack.
Okay. Well, there you go.
So, yes, I understand.
She has a long and storied career.
And musically talented, definitely. Yes.
Yeah,
but,
for sure.
Again, the current stuff, not my style. But
so I knew a girl named Nicki. You remember that Prince song?
I don't, but
I'll sing the opening line to you. And pardon me for my singing voice. Knew a girl named Nicki, I guess you could say she was a sex fiend. I met her in a hotel lobby, masturbate with a magazine. Well, back in high school,
that sounds familiar.
It's a great song. The ending goes on a little bit with a big extra long instrumental. So whenever I hear it in the car, I have to fast forward near past the end. But anyway, when I was in high school, I was taking business class with a buddy of mine. His name was Steve Mark. I probably shouldn't dox him and give his last name up, but whatever. His name was Steve Mark. And in the class, there was this girl called Nicki. And she was one of these, she dressed, in my school, you either dress like a preppy person or you dress like a stoner, which is like a rocker kind of thing, right? She dressed like a rocker girl. And she was really, really nice. And she was pretty. But every morning, Steve Mark would come in and he'd see Nicki, and he would sing that to her. And he didn't know Nicki. He just knew that her name was Nicki. And Steve Mark can sing. Like, he's got a really good singing voice. He did it really, really well. And she would like get this big, awkward smile on her face and like bury her head. And it became this sort of game that he did every day. And then he found out later that it really, really bothered her. And I don't know why, if maybe because there were rumors about her that she was a sex fiend or something. I have no idea. But anyway, it really bothered her, but she didn't say anything to him. He had to be informed of this after the fact by one of her friends, and he felt terrible about it. But yeah, that's my story about a girl I knew named Nicki.
Hashtag me too.
Hashtag me too. This is long before the Me Too thing. Anyway, he apologized, obviously, and that's the thing. Steve Mark wasn't a dick. He was a character. He liked to crack wise, but he wasn't a mean guy. He wasn't mean-spirited. So when he was doing it, it was meant in jest and all in good fun, and it wasn't meant to make her feel awkward. Only, slightly awkward because that was part of the bit, right?
Right.
Anyway, that's my story about Nicki.
Yeah. Poor Nicki. Jeez.
Yeah.
But we have other Nickis to discuss.
Yes, we do. Fox Toxic holds up big. Thank you. You like my singing voice. I appreciate it.
Oh, so I just it's a strange time. Oh yeah, I pulled up my own Twitter feed because I'm so proud of this one. Where did it go? Shit.
If you're not aware of what's, can I bring them up to speed, or do you have something to say?
No, if I may, I'll get to it. I just wanted to start with
Irving will bring you up to speed on the Nicki Minaj controversy.
Can I first just share my?
Yeah, by all means, I got to give you permission, right?
Yeah, I'm so proud of this tweet.
Knock yourself out.
We live in interesting times. Who could have predicted the fiercest opponents of tyranny in the West would be the French, Polish, and Nicki Minaj? And
it's true, right?
Like, this tweet got 5 likes. Okay?
Nice.
For considering my normal level of interaction on Twitter, this is like me blowing up. Like, subscribe to my OnlyFans, people. Like, this is a big deal here. What people that actually follow me, that I actually know, actually saw my tweet and liked it? Wow.
That's funny. We got another comment here from DB Surly. DB Surly. Hey. I don't know who DB Surly is, but hey.
I think we may have drawn DB Surly from my teaser vid there.
Oh, nicely.
Thanks, DB. Good to see you.
If we can get Nicki Minaj to have Mike Enoch's baby, we may be able to save the white race. Nicki Enoch.
I don't know what a Mike Enoch is.
I don't know who Mike Enoch is either.
I've been having some strange thoughts about all of this, and it starts with knowing that it's well recognized that women are considered to be the more nurturing, caring, compassionate sex. But men have something special, and I don't know if there's something analogous to women. I think it could be the very source of our brotherhood and our ability to bond with each other. I only can describe it as a pure empathy for other men's testicles. Like, we seriously, like, even against our worst enemies, most of us would sooner wish ruination and death upon them before we ever dreamt of wishing harm to their nutsack. Like, it's just not there. If Donald Trump and Joe Biden actually had some sort of no holds barred cage match in a huge arena, and it was filled with only male Trump supporters, and Trump landed that clean, swift kick to Biden's balls, there would be no cheers. Instead, in unison, 100,000 men would hunch forward, instinctively covering their crotches, and shout, "Ooh!" That's the kind of pure empathy that it is. And
in Trump's defense, you did say no holds barred.
Yeah, I did, to allow for it. But like, on that note, I just wanted to ask you, since you've been jabbed. Have you given your balls a tug lately, tit fucker? Because we just need to know, like, just a wellness check on you and the boys, right? How we all doing over there?
You know what? I make it a habit to examine my balls on a regular basis. I'm over 50 now, so testicular cancer is a real issue. So, yeah, I mean, I sort of do it in a half waking state in the morning. I just wake up, and when I'm finally fully awake, I realize my hands are on my balls. You know, like I'm trying to juggle some plums. You know what I mean? Like that's what it. That's yeah. So I'm no in abnormal sizes, no abnormal protrusions.
Good.
So yeah, everything's good on this side. How about you?
Yeah, I gonna be 40 soon, so do regular checks. Gotta
Good idea.
self
I
care.
mean, Tom Green lost a ball because of it.
Yep.
So
Yeah, it's look after yourselves, guys. That's. Oh, hey, Rose, thanks.
oh yeah, let me get some of these. So DB Surly says, "Yeah, you did, man." Okay, so he follows you, I guess, and saw your teaser stream and came over here. Well, thank you for dropping by, DB Surly. Appreciate having you. Irish Rose, hi Rose, good to see you. By the way, I was the first to hit the like button. Yeah, I haven't even done it yet. Let me do that. I don't think it counts for much, but I'll do it anyway.
Every interaction helps.
Exactly. And then Costin's just saying hello to Pox and such. Yes, the old plum juggle for health purposes. That's right.
Yep.
That's right. You also need to flush out your prostate on a semi-regular basis. So
apparently this does
it does decrease the chances of prostate cancer. That's what they say.
Yeah.
You have to flush out your prostate on a semi-regular basis. So preferably involving someone you care about. But,
I care about myself.
But, if they're not around, you gotta take care of your own health needs first. Just people greeting each other in the chat. That's great. So yeah, I mean, this whole Nicki Minaj thing seems like a joke to me because, I don't know what her politics are, but apparently, since the whole debacle with the Met, she's come out and apparently agreed with Tucker Carlson about something, and now people are saying, he's a white nationalist and shit like that. Yeah.
Well, that's what I want to get at is that it's not even what she initially tweeted or whatever she's social media that's such a big deal. It's the responses to it and her responses to that. Like, I mean, okay, so I didn't collect the initial postings on social media. I have a couple of the responses because that's where the real fun is. But it's just like,
but you know the backstory, right? Essentially,
if
people asked her why she wasn't going to the Met Gala, and she's like, they require you to be vaccinated for it, and if I'm going to get the vaccine, it's not to go to the Met Gala. I have my daughter was just born, and I don't want to travel with her.
Yeah, that like I don't need to travel, so I'm in no rush, right? And there was some other and she just wants to stay home with her kid. Good. That's wonderful that she wants
see, that's not degenerate. Wanting to be a mother is not degenerate.
And I'm happy for her. I hope but something strange had happened where she found out like a friend of her cousin after being jabbed
in Trinidad.
YouTube, before you cancel us for this, we don't know that it's related. It just happens to be correlated.
This is a friend of my cousin. It's like I heard this from a friend of mine. You don't know the reality of it. It's gossip, right?
Yeah, that he was having swollen, painful testes, right? Yeah. And the thing is, it's not the first time I've heard that correlated with suddenly post.
Yeah, somebody at the podcast of the Lotus Eaters, like one of the people who works there, same thing happened to them. I don't know if he ended up being impotent or sterile because of it, But
which is something else that was brought up with the friend of the cousin there, and then she goes and says, like, so guys, just do your research, maybe talk to your doctor, pray on it, and do what you think is right for you. Now, in every case, this sounds very much like reasonable advice, right?
No.
But they just, like, some CNN lady.
No, it's Joy Reid. I think she's on MSNBC, but I could be wrong.
She happens to be a black.
Yeah.
MS.
They trotted her out to, like, basically shit all over Nicki Minaj.
And what I heard was basically, how dare you tell black people to think for themselves? You're black, they might listen to you.
Yeah.
Right. And
you got way more followers than me.
Like,
you should be using your platform to do what I think you should say what I think you should say.
Yeah, right. And then she tweeted a video of Tucker Carlson defending her, knowing full well, I'm sure, that he must disagree with a lot of the things she does, not be a fan of her music, think that the videos are degenerate and stuff like that. But he defended her on this, and she tweeted that. And then that fucking Hassan Piker, Cenk Uyghur's nephew, tweets at her, oh, he's a white nationalist, right? Yes. Well, turns out Nicki Minaj don't take no shit. Turns out, I lost it. Turns out Nicki Minaj clap back. Turns out Nicki Minaj and Tucker Carlson might have more in common than anyone, including the two of them, may have fucking realized. Turns out Nicki Minaj fucking based. Okay.
Yeah, she is. That's why I called the title of the stream Based Nicki. She's completely based. You got to hand it to people who don't cave to the mob. And every time I see somebody who I appreciate, I like, I appreciate their work, I appreciate their opinions, comes out and caves to the mob, I'm like, oh man, I just lost a shit ton of respect for you.
And I've loaded up a share screen thing. This is true, and I'm sorry about the poor quality. That's the only one I found. Her response to Hassan Piker was saying he's a white nationalist. Right. I can't speak to, agree with, even look at someone from a particular political party. People aren't human anymore. If you're black and a Democrat tells you to shove marbles up your ass, you simply have to. If another party tells you to look out for that bus, stand there and get hit. Fucking based.
Yeah, so she's not just a pretty face with a nice thick ass. She knows her shit.
And like, I mean, and you were saying you don't know her politics. I don't know her politics either, but they're changing right now, apparently. Right.
Well, I mean, that's the thing, right? When they come, like, assume because she's in the Hollywood sphere, because she's in the entertainment sphere, that she's probably leaning left.
Yeah.
Okay. But the problem is when the left try to eat their own, that's when they turn their back on them. So you know what? Leftists, keep it up. Keep shitting all over people in your camp for the slightest infraction, and they'll just start to realize, hey, I don't want to be part of this fucking club anymore. And they'll cross the floor, they'll change sides, they'll become free thinkers. And in fact, it sounds to me like she's a free thinker to begin with, which free thinking, critical thinking, used to be a leftist, like a liberal sort of virtue. Right?
Yeah.
Skepticism used to be virtuous. It's no longer anymore.
Yeah, no. How dare you question the authority? Like to go against the church is to go against.
Yeah,
God,
well,
right?
I've often said that people, atheists, like the diehard vocal atheists, of which I used to be one. Not to say I'm not atheist anymore. I used to be a vocal atheist. Their religion tends to be the state. They don't believe in a higher power. To them, the highest power is people in authority. They're betters, they're elites. That means they're political leaders. That means the scientists. That means, Hollywood celebrities, people who are better than them. It's a natural sort of like, it comes out naturally from being a secular humanist. But see, now I've always had a very, free speech for me has always been an absolute. I'm like, no. You don't infringe on somebody's right to express themselves, because I'm an artsy fartsy guy, and I used to draw some pretty edgy, shit. But not edgy in the sense that, it was like swastikas and shit, but just I liked things that were a little bit more blue. I liked things that were a little bit more risque. I liked things that were violent. And so I'm like, you don't fucking infringe on my right to express myself. I remember in grade school, I used to draw, like every time we had something to draw in art class, it was always like fucking space robots and aliens and shit. And they always had massive weapons and they were cutting each other up with them.
Yeah.
Right. And my teacher, I remember teachers on several occasions and my mom on several occasions. So why don't you draw something nice? Like, and I remember I got really upset with her because my brother drew a picture of cattails as like one of his assignments, like a big thing of cattails.
Yeah.
Right. And it was good. I'm not going to lie. It was a decent picture of cattails. But my mom says, oh, I want to get that framed. And I was just a little kid. I'm like, well, how come you never want to frame my stuff? Well, because you never want to draw anything that's nice. And I'm like, oh, fuck you. But I didn't say that to my mother, but that's what I was thinking.
Fuck nice. This is cool, lady.
Yeah, this is nice. It's nice, violent robot and aliens fighting. Anyway, what do you got here?
Oh, this is just for on the free speech note, right?
It's true.
All right. And what's really great is this is the same pink-haired gorilla mask on a white person of who threw eggs at Larry Elder.
Larry Elder, yeah.
So this is perfect. I love this one.
Yep.
Yeah.
You gotta hand it to the left.
Yeah.
Free speech for me, but not for thee.
Yeah. And they're just it's more of the same. And so Hassan had said I'm telling you, Tucker Carlson, she had said if another party tells you look out for that bus, stand there and get hit, right? Hassan Piker responds, I'm telling you, Tucker Carlson wouldn't even let you on the bus, let alone the back of it. But and people start shitting on him, which is a good sign. Nicki Minaj just has way more fans who are going to jump to her defense than Hassan Piker does. Right. And yeah, like.
Yeah, I was talking to a tech today. We were talking about, so my company just recently released its policy with regards to COVID and people coming back to the office and that sort of thing. And they're getting right in line with the whole government mandate thing. You have to show proof of vaccination. You have to be vaccinated. Show proof of vaccination to enter the office.
Right now, that's still illegal.
Well, they're saying as of the 22nd, it will be law or mandate or decree or what have you.
It's not, though. They're wrong.
And well, in any event, this is their policy going forward. And if you can't be vaccinated, we'll look into options for exemptions, right? Well, what about religious exemptions? What about personal choice exemptions? Are you going to allow me to come into the office? It's probably going to involve, weekly testing or semi-regular testing, right? I don't know why they can't just go back to, if you're feeling sick, stay home. It doesn't matter if you're vaccinated or not, because the thing is, vaccinated people can still spread it. So if you're vaccinated, but you're not feeling too bad because, COVID's not hitting you that hard, don't go to fucking work. Stay home. Like that policy itself fixes everything. You don't need to have vaccine passports or entry, like QR codes. Just say, if you're sick, stay home. And if you're out and you're sick, a business has the right to say, please leave our premises. Like if you're sneezing and coughing in a store or a restaurant, the business owner should have a right to say, you know what, we're really not comfortable with you being here, given your symptoms, please leave. Right? Then they sanitize the shit out of wherever they were and go back to business as normal. Like that is a reasonable response. But the idea that vaccinated people who can still carry the virus and still spread it asymptomatically, even though that's very, very rare, they can go in. But the people who are unvaccinated, the people who are actually at risk, they can't go in. Anyway.
Sorry. A la Pox Toxic.
Fresh meme in DM Irving. Okay, let's see what Pox Toxic has for us. Oh, I gotta share it. I'm sorry.
Share.
I'm slow on the uptake.
Globalist elites thinking they have full control over Hollywood and culture. Big boob rapper lady.
Big boob rapper. She is fit. I gotta hand it to her. She is fit. I watched a couple of her videos. She makes some good videos. I'm not saying anything about her music, but she makes some good videos.
Like, and I mean, that's the thing is at this point, I would want to find a way to support her somehow, but the music isn't for me. So I don't know. Do I spend the money on buying a single track?
I don't think she's hurting for money.
I know, but does she just have a Patreon where I can give her $1?
You know what? I would see if she supports any causes, and then maybe donate to one of those causes to say, "Hey, I stand with you, Nicki." Unless the cause is something about fucking giving purple wigs to trans dolphins or something.
No, but maybe as an artist who wants to do degenerate videos and write songs like "Wet Ass Pussy" with some other degenerate rapper, maybe she is a free speech advocate. Like,
yeah.
You think she has
I may call her a degenerate, but I fully support her right to be a degenerate. I don't want to, you know what I mean? So, and I mean, I throw that word around glibly. I mean, I'm not one of these, 4chan, fucking Deus Vult crusaders who calls everything degenerate. I don't care. I just think the term is funny when you're talking about people who engage in like entertainment that is, of a more overtly sexualized nature.
Unnecessarily.
Sexualized. Unnecessary, like sexualization just for the purposes of gaining, views, It's same goes for TikTok thoughts who like shake their asses and twerk. I'm like, yeah, okay, you got a nice ass. I appreciate your ass. You're not doing anything for society right there.
See, that's what I mean. Like, if everyone who likes her ass gives her $1, she's going to be a multimillionaire in no time, right?
Everyone who likes her ass has given her $1.
Probably, yeah, but not me, not yet. So I just give her $1.
If they like her ass, I think they come around to liking her music enough to give her $1.
Yeah, like I don't need the music. Does she have a Patreon? Can I just send her $1?
Yeah, probably. Got some more comments here. All right. Cost and asking sick people to stay home is a better policy for keeping people healthy for those who really care about that. Sounds like your company cares more about productivity. Yeah, like any company, it cares more about productivity. No, they're just getting in line with what the government is going to bring down. And I don't blame them, but I do blame them in the same sense that I blame any business that caves to this kind of shit. I wish more businesses would say, F you, we're not doing this. And I don't expect my particular company that I work for to do it because they're a larger corporate entity. But if enough small businesses got together and said, we're not doing it, now, maybe that might have some impact. But the fact of the matter is, given the policies of the last 18 months, it's clear that the government can't wait to deep sick small business in this country.
Yeah.
So I don't know how much of an impact it would have. I think it would have to be a groundswell of small business patrons also getting in line.
Yeah. But that's also why I think it would be very good. They have more to risk, larger corporate entities for sure, but also they're going to have more power to throw their weight around. And again, this is that thing that's going to, bug my Jewish friend. If like your company ever wondered how they would have responded to this kind of thing in 1930s Germany, 1940s Germany, they're doing it now. Yeah, that's exactly what they're doing.
I mean, it's true. They're falling for the fascism. They're getting in line with the fascism. Hi, puppy. And that's the thing. Like when people decry Volkswagen, right, for what they did during. Well, here's the thing. You've got this fascistic regime that is saying, get in line. They're basically taking over the business, right? Yeah. They're taking over the business. That's what fascism is, right? Private ownership, but government control.
And just so you know, Volkswagen literally means the people's wagon.
Yeah, the people's car. Yeah. That's right. So, like, I understand, facing that kind of pressure. I also understand the pressure of, getting the opportunity to make shit tons of money. So, for instance, if my company came down and said, we're taking over your company specifically because we think you are primed to provide the services that the community needs best over anybody, but we're going to dictate what you need to do. But it means you're going to have the entire market to yourself. I don't think they would think too long about it, regardless of principle. They'd be like, wait a second, you're going to expand our market by 80%? Yeah. Damn, this is terrible fascism, but I guess we have to do what we're being told.
Yeah, I mean, and you don't need to corrupt every person in the hierarchy of that company. Just a couple in the right key positions, and that's it. It's over.
And sometimes just one person, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, is what it is. Be what it be.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, then we just have to start up some underground markets.
I think maybe I'll start a store called Edgar Friendly's Vape Shop.
Nice.
But I might get sued by, who's it, Paramount, who did Demolition Man? I don't know. Whoever did Demolition Man might say, nope, you can't use that name. It's a copyrighted name.
No, but we knew Edgar Friendly back in the day. He was a buddy of ours. He died now, but
yeah, he's dead. Yeah, we just have to find somebody who was born roughly the same time I was.
We're
in Canada, named Edgar Friendly.
Yeah, it's a real guy. He's a friend of ours.
He's a real guy.
We're just honoring him.
Yeah, we're honoring him. That's right. It's not your Edgar Friendly. It's our Edgar Friendly.
Yeah. You can't copyright a name.
That's right. You can't.
I watch everyone in the chat change their name to either Irving Twin or Craig Bag, right? That would just be great.
Hey, that's what happened to Milo Yiannopoulos, remember?
Oh, there's just bunches of Milos.
Yeah, when they basically what do they call it? Decertified him. They took away his blue check mark. Tons of people made Milo Yiannopoulos clone accounts. So anyway.
Yeah.
Okay. We've got Irish Rose making a comment here. If anyone tells me I need a mask to shop, I will shop there. I assume you mean I will not shop there anymore. I'm done. Not. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. I mean, I was of that mind too, but it became clear that it's a municipal thing and there's not a place I can go in my town that is not going to require me to wear a mask. I just don't like going out shopping anymore. And if I do go into a store, I'm out as quickly as I possibly can be. That being said, if they're saying I need to show proof of vaccination to enter a restaurant or something like that, I won't patronize them. I've made that decision. So it's going to be real interesting when friends come into town and they say, "Hey, let's go out to dinner. We're all vaccinated," and I say, "You'll have to go without me because they're going to require me to show my papers, and I'm not going to." Well, why do you care? You're vaccinated. It's the fucking principle. That's why I care.
And I'm still having trouble deciding, is it better that you do that, which is a great thing as a vaccinated person to take that kind of a stand, or do you get the red armband, put the little white circle in it, and print your QR code on the white circle?
Yeah.
and just go in like that. Like, I'm not sure which is superior. Like, do you do the, what's the word I'm looking for? Like the high road take a stand, or do you low road troll the whole fucking operation?
You know what though? The problem is that today's day, I like that idea purely for the optics of it, and I'm a little bit of, I'm kind of theatrical from time to time.
Canada man.
I still have to finish that costume. I've got all of the bought pieces. There's just things I need to make now. Right. I like the theatrics of it. The problem is that we're living in a society now where nobody would get it. Nobody would get it. And I could even walk around with little yellow, 6-pointed stars with a syringe and a red circle, cross-out circle over it, and try and pin them on people who don't have their vaccinations. But I don't think people would draw the connection. I also don't think people would care. The most I get is, "Oh ho ho, aren't you clever? Don't you realize people are dying?" That's what I would get. What do we got here? DBC early. I still shop shop lots just at my gold dealers. Oh, so people who deal in gold, or you buy gold. You buy gold because society's crumbling. It's kind of funny. You mentioned gold. I was watching an interview between Jordan B. Peterson and Maxime Bernier. It just got uploaded today. Have you seen it?
I fucking missed it. No.
What's up? You can watch it on YouTube.
All right.
And Maxime Bernier, they started talking about, economics, and they started talking about the future. Like, how far do you think cryptocurrency is going to play into changing our economic system? What do you think of cryptocurrencies? And Maxime Bernier says, I'm in support of cryptocurrencies. I think they're fine. Right now we have a fiat currency. I'm not doing his accent. Forget it. And but I think we should be on a gold standard. I'm like, yes, finally, a politician who says we should be back on the gold standard. Now, I know Trump mentioned it. He toyed with the idea, but I don't think he was ever serious about it. I also don't think it would ever happen in the United States. It'd be damn hard for it to happen here in Canada. Even if it got support by, mainstream politicians, I don't think it would happen. One, Justin Trudeau sold all of our fucking gold reserves. And two, they're all invested in, central banking. They're all paid for by central banking. So they're not going to all of a sudden switch to a gold standard unless they're all out of there and we replace Parliament with, nothing but libertarians and minarchists.
It's funny. I was just having this conversation with Pox the other day. Right. Now, what's the word? Our money's not real because the definition of real is that which cannot be replaced. So gold is a finite thing. There's only so much of it on the planet. And same with a good cryptocurrency, there's only so much of it, right? Like I think there's 21 million Bitcoins. Once they're mined, that's it. They're gone forever. Like they're just out. That's the amount of Bitcoins there are. So it's got a definite like an end point, a termination point. And with the central banking and backed by nothing but debt, it's literally backed by negative something.
Mm-hmm.
So the money can just be printed forever and it has absolutely no value.
That's why they're printing it the way they are. See, the reason I think that all these nations are going into debt, printing money, and quantitative easing, as they call it, is because they know that the Great Reset is coming and there's going to be a great economic reset probably in the next 5 years. I might even say in the next 2 years. You remember my conspiracy theory about how there's going to be a worldwide cyber virus, internet virus, that's going to attack the money supply. They're going to blame it on Russia or some other entity. Maybe they'll blame it on Taliban so they can justify going back into Afghanistan. But there's going to be a cyber security threat that is going to undermine the entire money supply because it's all electronic at this point. Paper money is just, it's funny money at this point. It's just used for people who want to be quaint and trade pieces of paper with one another. Most people do things electronically at this point. So the money's going to get fucked with. And then they're going to say, we need a great reset. We need a new economic system. Government's going to try and get in and have some sort of cyber currency, some Bitcoin type of thing, some cryptocurrency that won't be crypto because it's going to be centralized with a central bank system.
And an unlimited supply that they can just create at will.
Right, exactly, yeah. And so it's not going to be any different from the other fiat currencies because it's just going to be, one world currency or, an Amero. I think Lou Dobbs was talking about the Amero like 10 years ago. How there was going to be a universal North American currency that's going to, Mexico, Canada, and the U.S. are all going to have one currency. That's probably what's going to happen. And it's going to have, devalue everything you own. So your property, if you own property, it's not going to be worth shit. Interest rates are going to spike on people who have mortgages right now at very low interest rates. And then they're going to be underwater. And they're going to be able to forgive their debt. But all they have to do is agree to get the vax and yearly vaccinate and yearly booster shots or 6 monthly booster shots. They're going to have to agree not to ever own property again. And they're going to have to agree to install, a fucking Alexa in their house and never have any privacy again. And they'll like it.
And the light. You'll be happy. Look, see now.
Build
Pox
back better.
has said something interesting.
Leaf fag. Leaf fag?
Do it, leaf fag. Oh no,
leaf fag.
This was something that blew his mind. I found this out just the other day because he always calls me Leaf, right? Fucking Leaf. That I had discovered. I don't know how I didn't know this. That our highest ranking military officials are called 4-leaf generals.
Yeah, because we don't have stars.
They're leaves.
Yeah, they have little maple leaves. Yeah, like the U.S. have stars, we have leaves.
Now,
but fucking leaf.
It's this last thing that he had said there. Paper money is a relic of an age that's about to be out. You know what? Whatever money that they present, some bullshit cryptocurrency or whatever, you want to know what paper money really is? If it has any value, that suddenly we can all make paper money as long as we trust the people with whom we make these trades.
Yeah,
that's what it is. This is exactly what it is. Okay.
Put a 1 and 6 zeros beside that, and then you can mail it to me.
As long as it represents something real, right? Hey man, you got a smoke? Sure, I owe you 1 smoke. That's literal paper money, and if we believe in these IOUs, right, we can trade them to another person. This is worth a smoke.
Yep.
Right. Finally gets back to Irving. He owes you a smoke, buddy.
So, yeah. And here's the thing: like centralized banking, fiat currencies, they work on for interstate and international trade and that sort of thing. Mainly national trade, so you can buy something from Alberta, and it's a common currency. I get it, but in most smaller communities, you can get by with a system very much like that, like barter. I remember reading something that, like, back in the day, when they were like police officers in a small community, they might have been paid a small stipend from the local authority or the distanced authority, the state level or whatever. Mm-hmm. But the fact is, they were taken care of by the community. For their services, they were fed by one family 1 week and then another family another week. They would be taken care of, so to speak, or paid in goods.
I guess that's the tradition of free coffee for cops when they walk into a place, right?
Yeah.
Jeezy, no, I know it's cotton. All right, I know it's cotton. It just, that's the colloquial term, is paper money, right?
You can make paper from cotton.
But it's cotton. It's not wood pulp paper.
But
it's cotton bills, right?
Well, now ours is plastic.
Ours are plastic.
Ours is a polymer, but yeah. But
paper money, just the colloquially. So don't.
Yeah, but is paper specifically wood pulp? Other paper could be anything.
No, I mean, there's the other one that I can't remember what it's called.
I think it's just, as long as it's made from cellulose of some sort, and it's it's like turned into a fiber suspended in liquid and then pressed into sheets. That's paper.
I guess, right? And then vellum is made from animal skins.
And,
Yeah, no, I know
paper money has been irrelevant for years. Most U.S. dollars in circulation are not paper. Well, they're cotton.
No.
Oh, he means they're electronic. Yeah.
Yeah, and there is not enough bills to back all the digital money that apparently exists. Yes, no, okay, that's also true.
Yeah,
but I mean, like, the way it stands now, even those digital things are so fake that this is actually more valuable if you can trust the person who gave it to you.
Well, before we started tonight, I was watching the Timcast IRL podcast, and they were talking about what do they call them? NFTs or NFGs? I don't know what they are.
Non-fungible tokens. Yeah.
Non-fungible tokens, NFTs, yeah. And they were saying, they went to some sort of like mineral store, and they all bought these little like geode minerals, and they said, we could say this is our non-fungible token here at the Cast Castle, right? The Cast ranch or compound or whatever. We can use them as currency, and like anybody can make one, right? And you can get a you can actually go and pay a company to cast you coins. Lots of gamers did this for their fucking LARPs. They would actually have currencies made up out of like cheap metals, painted gold or colored gold, and they would pass them around and use them as currency in their LARP games. I'm like, great, because it's a closed system where that currency makes sense in terms of the game. But if you consider that all your interactions, in your day-to-day life with the people that you regularly interact with are essentially players in a game that you are involved with, there's no reason why you couldn't do that. You just have to all agree that that a token means a token, right?
It really is supposed to be, from what I understand, something to do more with things that are created digitally and passed around digitally. Like, the ultra rare Pepe do not download, right? That someone could theoretically put some kind of code into the original that makes it non-fungible, that it even though you could download the image or screenshot the image and reproduce it, it doesn't have this part of it that is the non-fungible token. So all the others would be copies, and only the non-fungible one would be the actual one with value. So if someone like an artist is a digital artist and doesn't use paper and brush anymore, they do it all online, they could theoretically sell the original or make prints, quote unquote, 1 of 1,000, 999 of 1,000
Right.
as non-fungibles. The problem is the person who does it can create an infinite amount of them. There's no limit. So your numbered non-fungible token could be valuable.
No, you're talking about virtual tokens. You're not talking about physical things.
That's right. Yes, that's
physical. You're constrained by how much physical matter you can throw into the thing.
Exactly. Right? But with the digital idea, I'm pretty sure that's what the non-fungible token was sort of meant to like, because I mean, you can reproduce the Mona Lisa, even if it's perfect, it's not the Mona Lisa.
Right.
So yeah, like we don't have to worry about those things physically. Physically, they exist. They're real already.
I wonder how hard it would be if you wanted a physical coin, right? Not a Bitcoin.
Okay.
If you wanted to mass produce a physical coin for use in a closed system, closed economic system, say your town or whatever, you could basically build a coin that has a QR code embedded in the middle, so that each coin has a unique QR code, and that coin is worth whatever it's worth, like whatever you decide it's worth, right?
See, the thing is, if you're physically doing it, you don't really need that, because there's only so much of whatever metal that you're making.
I just like clanky bits of loose change.
Well, I mean, that was the thing, is coins used to actually be made of, like, nickels were made of nickel.
Yeah.
Right. Now they're all zinc.
Yeah. And
right, I think
quarters were made of a $0.25 worth of silver.
Yeah. And the silver's there's a finite amount of silver, right? So it was actually, you're literally exchanging that particular metal.
Sure, agreed, yeah. Uncle Jeezy. Absolutely. Crypto makes sense because the principal agent problem, a central bank will always sabotage those who without influence to enrich themselves. Well, this is the thing they were talking about on Timcast tonight, that there's no stopping Bitcoin, because Bitcoin can't be controlled by a central bank. The only way they could do anything is to come after people with Bitcoin. They could say, you're engaging in illegal trade. Say that cryptocurrency is now outlawed. You're engaging in illegal trade. We have the records. You're under arrest. They could do that, but they couldn't stop the coins from going anywhere. Did you ever see the documentary about the Swede? I think he was a Swede or a German. He was German teenager who started selling designer drugs on the internet.
No, wait, maybe
it's good. No. It's on Netflix, and basically, he made millions, and a lot of his stuff was in cryptocurrency, and he ended up going to jail for it. And he was doing it in his parents' house. They didn't even know he was doing it. He was receiving all of his packages from the dark web and then selling them on the open web like a dummy. But in any event, he did it. He got caught, but they don't know where all his Bitcoins are. He's like and they kept asking, so would you ever reveal? I can't say there's any Bitcoins at all. They got everything I have. When he gets out of prison, he's going to be a millionaire because he's got all this fucking money.
And Pox is saying they couldn't even outlaw at this point. There's too many people trading it now.
Exactly.
Well, I mean, outlawing it would be the same as saying I can't trade this flag for your chair. Like,
Yeah.
Who the fuck is going to enforce that?
Exactly.
How do you enforce that?
Well, yeah, by outlawing it, you're basically saying there's no such thing as property rights or individual interaction. You can't talk to somebody. You can't make an agreement with somebody. Everything has to be contractually okayed by the courts. Yeah, that's never going to happen. I think that may be why they're pushing for the Great Reset so hard, is the fact they realize these emerging technologies are basically freeing people. Whether they want to be free or not, they're ultimately just going to end up being freed if they get on board with the cryptocurrency, with decentralized monetary system, that kind of thing. And they realize that it's a threat to them, and they're like, we need to clamp down now, because otherwise we're not going to maintain control.
Jeezy hitting us
okay,
hard, buddy.
Jeezy's got a couple comments here. Let's read them. If the American people ever allow private banks to control the issue of their currency, first by inflation, then by deflation, the banks and corporations that will grow up around, the banks will, deprive the people of all property until their children wake up homeless on the continent their fathers conquered. The issuing power should be taken away from banks and restored to the people. Yeah, and that's actually, again, something that to whom property belongs, Thomas Jefferson. Yeah, that's something that they were talking about on Timcast IRL. Maybe there's an argument to be made at this point from taking away the issuance of currency from the government. Maybe the government shouldn't be issuing currency, nor should a central bank. Maybe currency, like, could you imagine if in all 50, each state in the union had their own currency? How hard would it be to actually, because everything's electronic now, they could be trading at different levels any given day based on the productivity of a given state. But it wouldn't be so hard to exchange a Texas dollar for a California dollar. You just have to look and see what the exchange rate is. And then you might go, fuck, you know what? Texas dollars have been doing a lot better than California dollars. I think I'm going to start operating my business in Texas. That would be a true democratization of people's ability to move and conduct business with one another.
But still only if it's actually backed by something.
Right. So Texas could make a petrodollar because they have a lot of petroleum.
See, but you have to store the petroleum. You can't be just burning it and turning it into plastics and gasoline and whatnot.
Well, no, because petroleum itself has value in its use. So
sure,
it's a commodity. So it could be commodity backed, is what I'm saying.
But I guess. I mean, gold though. Like, remember Fort Knox? It was just bars and bars and bars of gold.
Right.
And your dollar used to be able to, literally, you could go to, I don't know what government agency or bank and be like, take my dollar. I'd like the physical gold, please.
Yeah. And then you'd have to wait 3 weeks while they actually ordered it and got it sent to you. Yeah.
I'm sure this would be faster today if we still backed it that way. But was it 1912, 1918, somewhere in there?
No, it was like 1970s where they went. No, it wasn't 1970s. Sorry. It was the 1970s when they stopped making silver coins. When the silver quarter got replaced with like an amalgam metal, right? I remember them doing a bit on it on one of these conservative like YouTube channels where they went and asked people something about which would you rather have, $15 or $1.75 in these quarters? And the guy goes, I'll take the $15.
And $1.75 in those
$1.75 in these quarters, because these quarters were minted, back in the day, are actually worth about $17.50 because there's that much silver in them, right?
Yeah.
But yeah.
Right. The value of the money increases over time rather than decreases, and that was the thing that would prevent the inflation. As things inflate, the value of the metal increases, and that
yeah. Well,
kept your buying power.
Right. Because like you said, it's tangible and it's finite.
Yeah.
Right. And it's rare enough that it has value. And you could also say seashells are going to be the currency, but the problem is there's so many goddamn seashells. You can walk down any beach and pick up $30 worth of seashells if you're going to make seashells the currency. At one time, seashells were currency. That's why you hear people say phrases like, "Man, that's a lot of clams." It's true. They use seashells as
Yeah.
currency in certain instances.
I mean,
But
something fun. Not everybody knows. Gold is not naturally occurring on Earth. Gold is only formed in the heart of stars.
that's right.
It is not
Supernovas.
natural to Earth, and it
Supernovas.
only arrives here on the backs of meteors. There is a finite amount of gold on the planet, and there is not actually as much as people might think above ground. Yeah, people knew this happened 200 years ago. All the gold that's ever been mined right now would probably fill about 3 Olympic swimming pools. If you took everybody's jewelry, every bar of gold everywhere, you'd be able to fill about 3 Olympic swimming pools. And there's not much more than that left in the ground right now, as far as we know. And there's actually less silver, which is really interesting. Because silver's more useful for like electronics and stuff like that.
No, gold's a pretty good conductor, isn't it? It's just it's rarer, isn't it? I thought gold was harder to come by. Maybe there's more. Maybe there's less silver, but it's probably easier to get.
Yeah, and I think the gold's actually the cleaner insulator.
Oh, maybe. Okay.
Yeah, but silver,
well, copper too. Like copper is copper's finite as well.
Yeah,
but it's also more ubiquitous than nickel or platinum.
Yeah, and a great conductor has bright, but silver has more applications practically than gold does. And there's less of it.
Plus, it looks good in jewelry too. It looks good on your finger.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
Okay, yeah, I have it backwards. GC's right.
Gold is a great conductor of heat and electricity. Yeah. I would be fine with any sort of precious metal or precious element backed currency. So you could say diamonds, but diamonds can be manufactured.
Yeah, we can manufacture. But see, again, at least that takes time, energy, and stuff. So it's still real.
Yeah, but you're basically saying we have a coal-backed currency. If you went a diamond-backed currency, it'd be coal-backed because they just need carbon. They need carbon. It's not coal, but it's carbon. It's like pure carbon, and they apply enough pressure.
But the diamond itself would then represent the amount of energy, work, and stuff that went into it, and it would act as the IOU. I owe you the value of this much work, and energy, and all that. Right.
I don't think they can do rubies yet. I think corundums are still harder to do. So rubies might be good, and they're rare.
They're a proper crystal.
Yeah.
They have a crystalline formation. Diamonds are forged in the heart of the planet over about 25,000 years.
Right.
And they can plasma forge them now above ground, but that's but being crystalline and having enough rust nearby to form into a ruby, that's its own natural process. I don't know if they can mimic that.
No, and if I understand correctly, I'm not a what do you call it? What do they call geologists that study gems specifically? There's a name.
Is it just gemology? I can't.
Gemology, yeah. But if I'm not mistaken, corundums always, like diamonds, can be cut and form in different configurations. That's why you get like ones that look like footballs. Sometimes you get ones that look like little ovals. Sometimes you get ones that are circular.
And
but
the princess
corundum, like true rubies, only ever form in that one specific shape, the traditional diamond shape. They can cut them, but generally they're cutting chips off of a larger piece.
Right.
Because rubies, clarity is not a big deal because it's a colored stone, right? But yeah, if I'm understanding correctly, corundums naturally only form in one specific structure. But anybody in the chat or who watches this later who thinks I'm talking on my ass, please correct me because I could be completely wrong. I have a friend who's big into like geology and stones and that sort of thing. And he mentioned that to me at one point, I think.
Sapphire counts the same, but it's more common, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure if sapphire qualifies as a corundum or not. It might be. I don't know. I could Google it, but
no, let's not.
No, it's not. It's not that.
Do you remember the days of not knowing and just having to be like,
yeah, I wonder. I remember the days of, son, I don't know. Why don't you go look at the Encyclopedia Americana that we spent $75 on that you never fucking look at?
Oh, Jesus, or $3,000 over fucking 10 years.
Yeah.
You got like this whole library that's just encyclopedia.
Yeah,
Oh man, those were the days.
those was the days. What are we at here? Oh, it's just 11 now. See, we started early tonight. And so, like, we've been at it for an hour and 5 minutes, and it's only 11 now.
Yeah, but I only had 2 drinks too. Like I don't feel rushed to
There you go.
it's not so late getting home, and I'm having a great time.
Good.
This is fun.
What else do we have in terms of topics here? Let's talk about the election real quick.
Yeah, baby.
We've got at least one other Canadian in chat, or WR Costin. I don't know where DB Surly comes from.
Yeah, me neither.
Where are you at, DB Surly? We know Pox is in where is he, in Ohio?
Kentucky.
Sorry, Pox. I didn't mean to call you a Buckeye.
No, but if I'm not mistaken, he's like basically across the river, like he can see Cincinnati.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, from out his front door.
Uncle Jeezy, I'm not sure where Uncle Jeezy's from. Costin is from Stratford. But it's coming up. It's in a few days for Irving and myself. We're having an election this year, and we need to discuss it. I want to say something about people on Facebook, specifically the gun community on Facebook, because I only really go on Facebook to follow groups that I'm interested in. So I follow libertarian groups, I follow airsoft groups, I follow gun groups, I follow, I don't know what else. I think I was following some LARP groups, but now I've turned my back on LARP altogether because it's full of nothing but social justice furries.
Oof.
But
oh no, Gendermancy. We'll go.
What's that?
Gendermancy.
Gendermancy. You want to be a gendermancer?
We'll bring it into
change
their
your
world.
gender, and I get to dictate your pronouns.
My most powerful spell, faggot.
Nice tits, faggot. Oh shit. Anyway,
Facebook groups, yes.
Yeah, so Facebook groups. So I follow a lot of gun Facebook groups, and I'm going to say something a little bit controversial about the gun Facebook groups. A lot of gun owners on Facebook are political FUDs. Do you know what a FUD is?
Enlighten me.
A FUD is a gun owner who only cares about the type of guns that they own. So it would be a guy who's into hunting, and he thinks that, you know, people who own AR-15s are idiots, and so they're libertines in the sense that they want to protect their right to shoot deer or duck, but they don't think anyone should have the right to own an AR-15. Right? That's a FUD. Okay. I call them a FUD after Elmer Fudd. What I'm finding in the gun community is that a lot of these people in these gun communities are FUDs in the sense that they only care about their one pet issue, and that is getting rid of Justin Trudeau because of the gun issue. Now, gun issue is a big issue to me, but it's not the only issue to me. And I'm taking a lot of heat in these gun groups because every day they post something along the lines of Maxime Bernier can't win, the PPC aren't going to win any seats, don't waste your vote, especially if you're in a riding that, you know, could go either way. You're just voting for Trudeau, blah, 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 and all this sort of shit, right? And I'm like, I always respond with something to the effect of, don't fucking tell me how to vote. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. I have one vote. This is my thing. I have one vote. My one vote is not going to decide the election in my riding. It's not going to decide the election in the country or in the province. So I am going to cast my vote for however I want. And who I want to cast my vote for right now is Maxime Bernier's PPC party. So don't fucking tell me how to vote. I won't tell you how to vote. I find it ironic that you're telling me that I'm just going to get Trudeau back in power when Aaron O'Toole, has come out and said he's going to keep the Order in Council in place and he's going to honor the current gun legislation we have. So you're saying vote for a conservative who's admitted that they have no intention at this point of removing the OIC, and you're saying I'm wasting my vote by voting for the guy who says he's going to uproot our entire firearms legislation, even though he can't win. He's the one who's speaking to the issue you care about. Whereas the guy who you're supporting and saying everyone should back is speaking antithetical to the issue you care about. You're a fucking FUD. And it drives me nuts.
I've got two responses to this. The first is, oh, I lost it. God, voting.
Vote splitting the myth.
Right. The suggestion that Maxime Bernier can't win, he can't win because you don't vote for him. That's the only reason he can't win. Second response is shit. Yes. Okay. So you said, don't tell me how to fucking vote. My response would have been something more along the lines of, for a man who has the power to take life at well over 300 feet, you sound like a fucking pussy.
That's a good point. And that's the other thing. Like the posts that they're putting out there is like, if Trudeau gets back in, he's going to take away your guns. I'm like, I feel like saying, I'd like to see him fucking try. Not only do I have the gun,
I don't know how to pronounce it.
I have the ammunition as well. So
I don't know how to pronounce it in the Greek. It's spelled in English letters, molon labe, right?
Molon labe?
Yeah.
What does it mean?
Come and take them.
Come and take them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's the issue, right? Here's the thing. The gun owners, that's why I say they're FUDs for politics. Because they're like, if they make legislation that says they're going to take away my guns, I guess I'm going to back down and just let them take my fucking gun. Why? Did you forget the fact that you have a gun?
What's the point of fucking having the gun?
Well, the point of having a gun in Canada is to enjoy sport shooting and hunting. Okay? However, that does not negate the fact that you have a gun, and in every court case so far, somebody who legitimately used their gun in defense of themselves and their property has won. In the long run, they've won. So there is a precedent in the sense that there is an expectation that if somebody is invading your property with the intent of taking your property and doing you harm, you can reasonably use your firearm to defend yourself and your property and your family. So now, if you take the libertarian, position that just because it's the government doing it doesn't mean it's right or doesn't give them the right, then you can easily draw the distinction that, look, government cannot take my gun unless I allow them to take my gun. I have the means at my disposal to defend my property. And if you are unwilling to do that, then why are you voting at all? Why don't you just say, fuck it, I'll comply my way out of tyranny, which never works? Why are you just saying, I don't give a shit who's in power because I don't give a fuck about my rights in the first place?
The quicker I give up all my rights, the sooner the government will give them back.
I said that the other day in my work chat. No one ever complied their way out of tyranny.
That's really, I like that. That's artsy, man.
It's true though.
Write that down.
Yeah, I didn't make that up. That's okay. We got a few comments after my rant.
Yeah. First off, sorry, Pox. Sorry, we didn't mean it.
Oh yeah, that's true. Okay.
Yeah, like that's.
How dare you for calling you a Buckeye? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. A lot of people love talking too much about their guns. I have none, and I may have got lost in a terrible boating accident. I may have got lost in a terrible boating accident. Taking guns only matters to stupid people. In theory, a reasonable, intelligent person can manufacture 4 to 5 looties a day. Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. The fact is, not a lot of Americans know this necessarily, but Canadian gun law, the Canadian Firearms Act, actually allows for a Canadian PAL holder, someone who has a license to possess firearms, to create their own firearm if they want. I could machine, if I had the machining, capability, I can machine my own gun as long as I'm legally allowed to own such a gun. And the government can't stop me from doing it. Nice. If I do make a gun that falls in the restricted category, I have to, by law, register it with them and give it a unique serial number.
Right.
But much like in the United States, where people make slam fire shotguns all the time, people make all sorts of goofy guns, they 3D print guns. I can do that here if I really wanted to. I don't have the machine. I could, I guess, 3D print a pistol if I wanted to, but I don't trust any resin or plastic pistol to survive, past one shot. So I'm not going to bother doing that.
I've heard and seen that. Yeah, no, they've done some tests. If you get the right resin for and a good 3D printer, you can get 10,000 rounds out of it before it goes down, which is apparently comparable to some cheaper made guns.
Here's the thing: if I were going to use a 3D printer, like I have a resin printer, I have an FDM printer as well. If I were going to use a 3D printer to make a gun, I would use a metal barrel liner. You can buy barrel linings.
Okay.
So I could buy a 22 barrel, embed it in a plastic barrel tube, right? Barrel lining, I should say, and embed it in a 3D printed barrel tube. Have the receiver made out of a heavy duty resin. I have a type of resin that actually has some flexibility to it. It's got some give to it, so it's less fragile.
Yeah.
So that would be much, much more resilient. I've seen people do slam tests with it when they, have 20% of this rubberized sort of resin. These things are practically indestructible. You can slam them on the ground really, really hard, and they just bounce, right? So I can make the receiver, and I can make the chamber out of this stuff with maybe a little bit of metal lining it, and it could survive the discharge or the ignition of the cartridge. But to be honest, I'd probably just make it out of metal, because it'd be a lot easier for me to go to CNC and make it than to try and 3D print it and then glue it all together and stuff. But no, this is my point. Like, part of the reason I got guns was because I like guns. I've always liked guns. But part of it is like, I can foresee a time where things get really bad in Canada. And if things get really bad in Canada and I need to fend for myself, I want to be able to. So that's part of the reason why I got, even though by law now, I'm not given that permission, so to speak. By natural law, I have that biological imperative to defend myself. And if I'm going to have to face somebody who has a gun, I'd rather have a gun myself.
Yeah, it's the same principle as a condom, right? Better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it.
Exactly. And the thing is, in a shit hits the fan kind of scenario, and I sound like a survivalist at this point, but because I'm not, and I'd probably die in the first week. But I think having that gun might stretch that week out to maybe 3 or 4 weeks. And that's why I want that gun.
Or maybe you become a warlord in those 3 or 4 weeks.
Sure.
You just
the Postman.
you collect more guns. Right.
You ever see The Postman with Kevin Costner?
I love The Postman. Oh my God.
The warlord was a goddamn school teacher before he became the warlord.
Yeah. It's such a great film. And but we're getting too far away from this. Like, look, in certain places in North America, not just the Western world, police are resigning in droves.
Yep.
In certain places in North America, not just the Western world, we're seeing severe supply line interruptions. Now, it was toilet paper a year ago and pasta, but all kinds of other things from here and there in different places. No gasoline, right? Wasn't long, but if these things continue on this direction, we may find ourselves in a time when there are no police and no supply lines.
Right.
And then if you don't have a gun,
it becomes essentially an albeit but temporary shit hits the fan scenario. Albeit temporary shit hits the fan scenario. So, for instance, you talk about these supply disruptions, right? We're getting off the election, but it all ties in.
We gotta come back to it. Yeah.
Okay, well, I can bring it back to the election
because I have some fun stuff too. So yes, bring it back.
Suppose there's something goes wrong with the election, and we get into a situation like they did in the U.S. in 2020, where there's a large segment of the population that doesn't believe the results of the election, and then there's now a clear division in Canada between people who voted one way and people who voted another, and things start getting crazy. And suppose supply lines are interrupted because of protests, because of other things, because of COVID, because of what have you, and then we have a power outage, or then we have an international cyber crash. That's going to turn into a shit hits the fan situation very quickly, and it may be temporary, it may only last 14 days, but it's a situation where I'd rather be in a position to defend myself.
Absolutely.
Couple of comments here.
Yep.
I can only get so erect. No cops, no supply lines. Gibbs. Detoothing the sheepdogs won't save the sheep from the wolves. It's true. It's true. Uncle Jeezy, watch The Act of Killing. It's a movie about the people who won the Indonesian Civil War against communists. I'll have to look that up. The Act of Killing. Is it on Netflix or what have you? Somewhere where we can find it? You wanted to say some things about the election. I'm sorry, I've been ranting. I know it's my live stream, but I'd like to give you an opportunity to speak every now and then.
Thank you kindly. You did give me some fun opportunities. That was great. Thanks again for that. So today I listened to the radio in the car on the way to and from work, and the mainstream media, by and large, ignores the existence of the PPC and Maxime Bernier. They just pretend they aren't there.
Mm-hmm.
Today, on the radio, on the way to and from work, I just heard a flurry of mainstream media talking about the PPC.
Let me guess, it was all glowing praise for them.
Well, like, again, these are political analyses. We're coming up to election. They're talking about all kinds of factors. But today, the Friday before the Monday that the election actually occurs, they're suddenly all over it, right? Some things I found very interesting was, of course, the conservatives are going to take hits because of the PPC, so they might lose seats to the liberals because of that. Which, to me, on the day before, the Friday before the Monday election, sounds like a scare tactic. If this were true, you would have been talking about it the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It would have been a factor that you would have brought in long before this. Someone called it like a brush fire that isn't going out anytime soon.
Right.
But also that the brush fire would only destroy the CPC's chances. The other thing I found particularly interesting was that they talked about, in the polls, the Liberals have this percentage and the CPC has this percentage. And Jagmeet Singh came out strong in the beginning with 19%, and with great momentum today is at 19%. Right. That's the NDP for you, right? They have their voters and no one else.
Right.
They didn't mention PPC numbers.
Did they mention the Greens?
Yes, the Greens have.
And the funny thing is, in lots of polling, PPC are beating the Greens right now.
In at least one poll, the PPC are beating the NDP.
Yeah, I've seen that one too. Yeah,
and it could be like, remember, the NDP once won 21 seats with 11% of the vote, and the PPC have in multiple polls come up well over 10%.
Yeah.
And generally they get their bumps after every debate in which Maxime Bernier is not part. And
the thing is, they would not. That's why they didn't want him at the debate, because they knew that it would give him support.
Oh yeah, especially
it wouldn't even matter. It wouldn't even matter if Aaron O'Toole won the debate or the Liberals won the debate. It would have given him some support. He would have leached off both of them. And here's the thing. The other thing I want to say to the gun owners on Facebook, these gun groups on Facebook. Why do you think Aaron O'Toole is saying that he's going to keep the OIC in place? It's because he's trying to woo liberal voters. So if the PPC's splitting anybody, it's going to be disaffected liberals and non-devoted conservatives, people who aren't card-carrying CPC members. And another thing I said, look, Aaron O'Toole hasn't earned my vote. As a matter of fact, I don't see him as being any different than Justin Trudeau. And I sure don't like Justin Trudeau. So I'm not going to vote for the guy who's almost exactly like Justin Trudeau. So, except he's got, less hair and a bigger gut. It's the only difference. So,
yeah, there was something else I had found interesting there. He's trying to woo liberal voters because he's losing proper conservatives, and he can't get them back because his party's not conservative.
No.
And
It's centrist. It's slightly left of center.
yeah, and they couldn't afford, Trudeau in particular, couldn't afford Maxime Bernier at the debates because one of Trudeau's tactics, being a native Quebecer, is to hold important debates in French, where he knows that the vast majority of Canadians are primarily English speakers and have, at best, rudimentary French. And also, his opponents, they're quote unquote bilingual, but they are clearly not comfortable speaking French. They take a second to translate back into English, and then they have to think while they're speaking, and it sounds mechanical, and it does not appeal.
Is there a legal provision with regards to the election that the leader of a party needs to speak both English and French?
Yes. Actually, there's a provision that all members are supposed to be all federal members are supposed to be bilingual. Technically,
I think that's wrong, personally, but it is what it is. We're in Canada.
From what I understand, literally nobody in Alberta and Saskatchewan speak French. They take French until grade 9 and stop.
Well, that's what I do.
Almost nobody is actually fluent. Most people aren't anywhere near conversational in French in those provinces. And in Ontario too, outside of, say, Ottawa, right, it's not really prevalent, right?
Yeah.
Like, I've got some fun stories about my buddy who's technically bilingual. Like, he's went to he did French all through high school and has like an official certificate that means he's bilingual.
French immersion kind of thing?
No. Just high school French, like all the way through high school. And those are stories for another time. But trust me, his French is not great. Like,
you know what I was thinking? Because like, if I run as Canada man in an upcoming election at some point, and I get into like, I'm going federally, let's say in a far distant future, I'm at a leaders debate for the Canada Man Party, and I have to answer a question in French. I think what I'll do is I'll find some sort of Quebecois dirty limerick
and just say it.
And like, it won't answer the question, obviously. It'll just be me speaking in French. Something I can memorize easily.
I'd be more rude about it. I'd be like, yeah, I don't know what you said and I don't care. You're speaking French. I don't need your vote. I'm talking to English-speaking people in Canada.
Well, I mean...
all right, we outnumber you, like, literally, like 4-1, easily. Okay? You go hide in Quebec and New Brunswick. We don't need you.
If you ran across Canada, like the PPC last I heard, it was 312 candidates out of 338 ridings. That might have gone up.
Is that the most? I think they have the most, or the second most. That the Liberals gave up something like 28 to 30 because they don't.
Well, the Greens don't have as many. I know that. The Bloc are only in Quebec.
Yeah.
The
Liberals and the Conservatives, I don't think they have 338 candidates.
Oh, they don't?
They have like 302 and 310 because...
So who's representing these ridings? Is it just independents running? Like
independents and NDP, right?
So the NDP made up the slack.
Probably. I mean, but PPC is in there in certain places. But yeah, no, it's probably a fair amount of independents because, look, there's, 128 out of the 338 seats in Ontario, right? Yeah. If you win all of those, you're already close.
Yeah.
So you don't need to run in every riding. And that was something great about the PPC the first time around was we're going to have a candidate in every riding, and they did.
Yeah.
And this time, I understand they're struggling. And also, they're gaining steam, proper grassroots steam.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't hurt that they've got David Freihat running. It doesn't hurt that Maxime Bernier was just on the Jordan Peterson podcast.
On Friday before the Monday, yeah.
Friday before the Monday. It doesn't hurt, that And that's the thing. David Freiheit's going up against a guy who is apparently quite popular in his riding. But I saw him at a debate. Like I saw a snippet of him in a debate with the other members running in that riding from the different parties. And the guy he's running against is sitting there doing like paperwork while David's speaking. It's like he doesn't even care. He had a look on his face like he just didn't care to be there. It was like one of those like Zoom call type of debates.
Right.
And
I'd like to give him the benefit of the doubt and say he was taking notes.
No, he was shuffling papers. He was shuffling papers around. He wasn't like writing. Okay. He was like, so maybe he was going through his notes to come up with his response. But you think if you were an established politician, you would have the wherewithal to know how to answer a question?
But like Viva Fry, David Freiheit, is that how you pronounce it?
Freiheit or Freiheit? Yeah.
I want to say Freiheit because I understand the German pronunciation there, but I think he said Freiheit. But he's Viva Fry, Montreal litigator turned YouTuber.
Yeah.
And he's got a great YouTube channel. He is like the perfect political candidate. As far as I can tell, no skeletons. He's not afraid of anyone looking into him. Mm-hmm. He puts his real name out on the internet like a fucking crazy person. And now he's running for office. He is incredibly charismatic. He is obviously intelligent. He's fairly good looking for a short guy. And,
is he short? I never got the impression he was a short guy.
Oh, yeah. You see him next to Maxime. Now, Maxime Bernier is a large man. I would say 6'3", 6'4".
Yeah.
But you can see that he's literally head and shoulders above Freiheit.
Speaking of which, did you see him and Maxime Bernier being interviewed by Lauren Chen on the internet the other day?
I started it, haven't finished it.
I'm like, she's another big YouTuber. Because she's a Canadian expat. I mean, she's not Canadian. She's been all over the world, but she lived in Canada for a good number of years. Mm-hmm. What would have been great is if he had gotten on louder with Crowder. And maybe he did at one point. I don't
know, but Crowder is very much fuck Canada. I'm American now.
No, but he still calls back to the fact that he's Canadian.
Yeah, but I don't think he's really that involved in our politics because he lives in America. He does America. He lives America, and good for him. But also charismatic, obviously intelligent, somewhat good looking for a short guy. Also, he's genuine, man. He doesn't say things that he's not Donald Trump where he just says what's on his mind. No. He says what he believes, and it's not harsh. It's like you can feel like a real compassion.
Yeah, he's down to earth, but he's also when he's talking about something that really bothers him, you can tell it really bothers him.
Yeah, and rather than the compassion of I'm going to take care of you, it's the compassion of I'm going to help you to take care of yourself.
Yep.
And then let it go. And you can feel that off the man. And he's he's the perfect political candidate. If anyone sees him speak, I can't imagine they wouldn't want to vote for him. At least consider it.
Yeah.
And
he's mentioned that he's had a few discussions with people in his area, and he thinks he may have won some people over. He's not sure. He's had a couple of like sort of harsh interactions with people, but nothing terrible.
Yeah,
just no, I was like a little annoying, but
yeah, well, where he could tell that he couldn't win these two guys outside the coffee shop or whatever because it didn't matter what he said; they were already
he's leaving a flat Earth too, or something like that.
Yeah. And but because he's so pleasant to them, I can't imagine they walk away going, "That guy's fucking terrible." Like, okay, the PPC's terrible. That guy's all right. I don't know why he's with them. But that might get their gears turning too, which is something special that I don't have. Like, I'll lose my shit on people like that and be like, well, fuck you then, right? Go fucking burn and die. Like I could not be something like that guy.
And, so you're not going to get into politics then?
No, of course not. And but I very much admire his ability to do it. That's my shortcoming. I'm happy to admit it, right? I don't always have the capacity to make to what's the word? Oh, what's that thing Abe Lincoln said? If I make my enemy my friend, have I not destroyed my enemy?
Good point.
I can't always do that. Sometimes I try, but I don't have the patience for some people. And like, yeah, that's some admirable quality. And I would not be surprised to see that he is the first seat won by the PPC.
He may be one of them. It would be cool if he was. It'd be cool if they get even, a handful of seats. I'd be very happy, but we'll see. The weekend, and then we get the vote. Okay, so I'm gonna go back to one of Jeezy's comments. Watch The Act of Killing. Okay, we saw that one. It's probably not on Netflix because it's about a guy, Anwar Congo, who beat thousands of communists to death.
Thousands, wow.
Well, there was a documentary I watched the other night on Netflix about Madeleine Murray O'Hair. Do you know what Madeleine Murray O'Hair is?
The name sounds familiar, but no, I can't.
She started American Atheists.
Okay.
And it was not very sympathetic towards her. It was not, which is kind of funny because you think Netflix, being very progressive, would sort of paint her in a positive light. But I think it was trying to be a genuine biopic, or biopic. And I didn't realize how much of a cunt she was. She was a terrible person.
See, but thousands of communists. Like, I heard the story of the Polish sniper whose name I can't remember, was fighting against the Russians in World War II, I think.
Yeah.
And he had something like 60 plus confirmed kills.
Yeah.
And an interviewer asked him, what's it like to take human life? And he says, I wouldn't know. I've only ever killed communists.
I fucking love that line.
Yeah, it's so good.
Yeah, it's good.
And see, that's how I feel, and that's why I can't be David Freiheit.
Yeah, I think if I were running as PPC as Canada Man, not on the PPC but on the Canada Man party, I would be a total troll candidate, obviously. But when they ask me questions like, "So, what would you do about climate change and our CO2 emissions?" I'd be saying, "I plant some fucking trees. Why can't we just plant some fucking trees?" And here's the thing: businesses are already investing in alternative sources of energy. They don't need the government to hold their fucking hand. It behooves them to do so because the technology is getting cheaper and better, and their competitors are doing it. If we let the market deal with the technological need that we have, it will solve the fucking problem. And as far as what people can do, what the government can do, plant some fucking trees. That'll scrub the CO2 out of the atmosphere. Plant as many trees as you can.
You want to be a real troll about it. You go with the math here, and you explain to them, look, to clear out the carbon that all of Canada produces burning fossil fuels, we would need approximately 27 billion trees.
Yeah.
The amount of trees we have in Canada is about 500 billion. So what I would do is cut some trees down because this is just not efficient. Like, we got to get much closer to 100% efficiency because right now we're running at about 5%.
At this point, we've got too much oxygen.
Yeah,
There's too much greening going on. Yeah,
we got to cut some of these trees down.
Yeah,
too many trees. Burn
global
some
warming.
guys.
The answer to global warming is global greening, which is easy to do. Anyway.
We're too green. We're too green here. We're pulling out way too much of China's emissions. We got to leave it to them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's the other thing that's so stupid. We get compared to China. We're so far we're here on the list per capita. I'm like, what the fuck does per capita have to do with it? We're a tiny nation that is like frozen under fucking ice for 8 months of the year. Like, in terms of population, it's the total emissions that fucking matter.
No, yeah.
So basically, China gets to amortize all of their pollution across 2.5 billion people, 3 billion people. We've got 300. We got 30 million in all fucking Canada, 40 million. So of course we've got more emissions per capita. We're still not producing near as much as China is.
But also we have more trees. I don't think we have more trees per capita than China. I think we have more trees.
Yeah.
And Canada is a net carbon sink at the rate of like 20 to 1.
Well, that's why Bernier say he would pull out of the Paris Climate Accord, because it's not, basically what it's doing is allowing, we're funding China's ability to fucking pollute is what we're doing.
Yeah, and it only measures the output of carbon and not the actual like net output.
Yeah. New growth reduces CO2 more than leaving forests. Mass deforestation is CO2 negative. Well,
So-
that's the like people talk about, we need to protect our old growth forests. Well, no, not really. Old growth is where you can get so much yield of wood per tree. We just need to like harvest it and plant new fucking trees.
So there's a thing called tertiary regrowth. I don't know if you remember this from high school biology. It's particularly useful in places like California where they have all those fucking wildfires because they stopped burning underbrush.
Yeah, they stopped their forest floor management. Yeah.
Right. So dry, dead branches and leaves fall to the ground. Something goes wrong. Fire starts. It goes wild. What they used to do was go in with blow torches and fire extinguishers. And you would literally flamethrow the dead undergrowth and put it out. And you would, I don't know if you guys remember, like what happens when
it makes the soil more fertile.
What you burn wood and you get carbon dioxide and water vapor, and that's smoke. And then ash is the remains. The ash actually acts as like what do you call it? Like a mulch that keeps moisture in the ground. And the carbon dioxide and water is the perfect food for the remaining plant life. So you're actually feeding what survived while burning away the dead in a controlled manner so the fires don't go wild. And have you ever tried to burn something that's been burned? It doesn't work.
No.
So you have these patches of burned stuff that prevent any wildfire that might occur from spreading farther.
Well, that's why they have controlled burn. They do fire breaks.
But
when there's a wildfire, they burn the ground in front of where the fire is burning so that it can't pass beyond that point. Yeah.
But all the other plant life suddenly has this tertiary regrowth where it just fucking blooms out of nowhere and you have fresh, green, lush, moist plant life that will not burn because it's still alive and full of water. And they don't
burn the trees. It's better to cut and replant than leave existing forest to grow. Yeah, and again, old growth would be the way to go, because the old growth is where you get the greater yield per tree in wood in the resource.
So
the death of native people in the Americas created a mini ice age because they deforested so much that their deaths caused a mini ice age. Maybe I have no idea.
We have this program in Ontario. I can't remember what it was called. Something about like, I don't know, 1 billion trees or something stupid. And we spend something like $20 million a year in Ontario to plant trees. Right. And over some 20 years at $20 million a year, we've planted maybe 10% of the trees that we're supposed to plant.
Yeah, because the government's running it.
Private industry has been cutting down trees and replanting trees, and they've planted like 200 times more trees than the government has in the same time frame because it suits their financial capitalist interest. As long as they can cut older trees, leave the younger trees until they're ready, they've already learned that this makes their business sustainable. And they're doing it for us because it makes them money. Doing the right thing generates them profits. But we still haven't caught on to this shit, and I don't know why.
I don't understand either. I mean, back in college, this is many, many years ago, I was in I studied media in college. And one of the people in my little group put together a little short documentary about, forestry. And he went into it thinking, I'm going to talk to this forester and find out, he just wants to make money cutting down trees and blah, blah. And what he found out was that the people who run forestries, like the people who harvest trees for industry, they care more about, because it's like their crop, right? It's like saying a guy who has an orchard all he cares about is picking apples. Well, no, he wants to keep his apple trees constantly producing because
Healthy
it's
and
how he makes
strong,
his
and
money.
yeah.
Right. And
Oh,
and
and
I remember my brother was married before he married his current wife. He was married to this horrible, terrible person, but she was involved in a company where they were doing solar panels and renewable resources and stuff like that. And I remember her saying something about like disparaging about forestry, and I'm like, well, it's a renewable resource, and I'm like, well, she goes, what do you mean? I'm like, it's a renewable resource. We can always plant more fucking trees, right? It's not like oil. There's a finite amount of oil in the ground. I get it, but trees are a renewable resource. She didn't cotton onto it. She just thought, anything that takes anything natural is bad. I'm like, well, then what are solar panels?
what the
Solar
no,
panels
like,
are harvesting sunlight. Yeah, but it doesn't hurt the environment. Well, it does when you produce solar panels. It uses a whole shitload of rare earth metals that we have to destroy vast swaths of land to harvest these rare earth metals. The construction and the building of solar panels uses a ton of energy that we get most of our energy at that time from natural gas and coal, not from hydroelectricity. So, there's an environmental cost to producing solar panels. There's an environmental cost to make, wind turbines.
oh,
And
the solar panels, if not properly cared for, and the maintenance can be incredible, they just end up shattered mirrors on the ground. And the wind turbines, I've seen wind turbines, a video of a wind turbine spinning faster and faster and faster until it literally just melts itself apart and just
they're
nearly,
hugely destructive.
yeah.
And they take forever to repair and replace. They're very construction intensive. They're expensive to build, and the return on investment is like it's years and years before they actually see a return on investment on them.
Okay, a couple of things. There was a video of a helicopter flying, spraying de-icer on a Canadian wind turbine, right? That you're burning the fossil fuel to try and get the goddamn fucking turbine to work.
Here's the thing I've never understood.
And
like,
wait.
Sorry, go ahead.
These things with this monstrous steel upright beam take something like 600 cubic meters of concrete in the ground, and concrete is not particularly environmentally friendly.
No.
To hold it upright, like, oh, the sheer stupidity of the whole thing.
And I remember talking on a forum with somebody. He's like, why don't, instead of having these massive fields of wind turbines, getting in the way of, harvestable, arable land. I know they're built in farmers' fields, but they do take up a huge chunk of those farmers' fields when you account for all the when you account for all the acreage that's devoted to, if you took the acreage that's devoted to the wind turbines and actually put plants in there for food or some other crop, it's a huge amount of
600 cubic meters per
of area, right? I'm like, why don't they just put wind turbines on houses? I mean, if every new house built had a wind turbine to offset the electrical grid use of that household, I think it'd have more impact. And this guy was arguing, no, you don't get that much yield from a small turbine. I'm like, no, but you don't get that much use from a house in comparison. Right. So
with solar panels, right?
Right. Same with solar panels. Like make new houses solar panel and wind turbine ready. Also, make them have rain catch systems. Like why are we pumping, water through a city pipe system to water our lawns when we can be, collecting gray water and collecting rainwater to water our lawns? Gray water is better for watering your plants than clean water because there's nutrients and shit in the gray water that the plants can use. So why houses are still being designed today the same way they were designed 50 years ago, when we have these technologies that are scalable to a household, is beyond me. I mean, it's just my position. I don't know.
Before we get too far from the forestry thing, my dad was Italian. At 4-5 years old, I was already in the backyard garden growing tomatoes and garlic and lettuce and beans and peas and God knows what. Like, in my adult years, I turned that to marijuana. Am I going to be able to show this picture?
Oh yeah, I can see
So,
it.
yeah,
Nice.
this
It's a
is
big old plant.
now my buddy is particularly short. He's about 5'3", but that's
That's still
you
an
know
8-foot tall plant.
it and this is a season. This is one season. It's a plant that grows from a seed up into this height, and then you harvest it, and it's gone till next year, and you start again. But talking about the foresters who feel anything like I do about growing my marijuanas and growing my tomato plants, these guys are looking at, oh yeah, I took this pine cone from the pine tree before I cut down this pine for logging or for making lumber, and it's gonna take from the time I started here at this job, and now I'm the CEO of the company. It's not ready to cut down, and it's 40 feet high now, and it's going to outlive me by another 80 or 100 years before they cut it down. Like I can't imagine how attached a person might actually come to this kind of plant that they've cared for from fucking pine cone.
Yeah.
Like, God, I care about my plants. These guys probably care about their plants, man. Like,
yeah,
they're not about the harvesting.
They don't get into They don't get in forestry for the money necessarily. I mean, they probably do. They want to turn a profit, obviously, but there's a reason why they chose that field. It's not because it's pure profit. It's because they realize that there's some value in doing it. There's some goodness in replanting trees.
I was telling this to Pox the other day, and I don't think I got around to why that I love drugs, but I don't do them anymore. But people know that I love them, right? And I've helped a number of people learn to grow marijuana well. Then their plants come out healthy and lush and grow up so big, and they just. I've got a drawer. I open it up. It's just filled with different weed and sometimes mushrooms and God knows what in there, right? And what was I getting at? Yeah, like the love of it, that I've spread the love of growing plants. And for me, it's not about cutting it down and getting the thing and maybe selling it off to make a profit. For me, my joy is watching it fucking grow, taking something from seed and nurturing it into something phenomenal. And the harvesting of it is almost like a dirge. It's sad because I don't smoke it anymore. Like sometimes I will, but it's not like, oh, I can't wait to smoke all this marijuana. It's like, no. The fun for me was in the meaning of life is to plant trees under those shade who you do not expect to sit. That's that's Buddha, isn't it? That's Siddhartha.
Yeah. So it might be Buddha. I don't know. Yeah. I'm not great on quotes, but Jeezy can probably tell us.
That sounds, if I had to bet, I would bet that's Siddhartha.
My glasses are crooked. I'm like looking in the thing in my glass.
But yeah, like what I really enjoy is nurturing the thing from birth through its life and making sure it lives a good life. The death is sad for me. The end is because I gain nothing from it dying. Right? Sure, I have some weed to smoke. My buddies are all happy, but I'm not like, yeah, that was the reason I did this.
But it's the circle of life, right? Eventually it has to be cut down.
For sure. But I can understand that the guys who get into forestry and make a profit doing it, I don't see them celebrating when they're cutting down the trees. I see them smiling when they put an acorn in the ground, when they put a pine cone in the ground. That's I think they're like, ooh, one day. And they just like, there's like a hope in it. Unattributed.
Yeah, it's an unattributed quote. I'm not sure who said it either.
Is that a push? I wasn't wrong. Like, you can't prove it wrong. That's a push on my bet.
It could have been Buddha. Yeah, he said a lot of shit that I'm sure was never written down. Well, I know we've only been going technically since 10, but we normally start at 11. But we're almost at 2 hours now.
Yeah, no. And
Did you
we
know
have
that?
one last
Did you
thing
know
to
that
do.
no one tells jokes anymore, Irving?
You know, there was one guy who told jokes, all kinds of jokes. He didn't give a fucking shit.
No.
He doesn't care if you like it. He doesn't even care if he likes it. In fact, the worse it was, the more he'd laugh.
That's right. He loved telling jokes that didn't land. He loved it because he loved that awkwardness associated with it. And the funniest shit was when he was on Conan, and he was trying to get a joke out and he was stumbling over himself because he had that cadence about him that it made him sound like a bit of a doofus. I mean, I don't think Norm was like a very learned guy. He even said as much. I'm not a really educated person, but he was not an idiot. He was like the smartest guy in the room in terms of comedy goes, right? As far as comedy goes.
He was a very bright guy who just refused to read.
Yeah. He liked audiobooks. No, he if you ever watch him on Bill Maher, it's always great to watch him on Bill Maher because he's trying to have a serious discussion about a serious topic, and Norm just always fucking derailed it. He just derailed it with the most, not offensive, but just out of left field kind of stuff. Like watch his bit about when he starts talking when they're talking about, it was in the 80s, I guess, and I guess there was a law that was passed that would allow, it was ruled by the Supreme Court, I think 8-1, that enlisted men on barracks could use their money to buy pornography at the local shop at the base. The Supreme Court said they should be allowed to buy pornography. And I guess up until then they weren't, because there was a certain standard of decorum and a certain moral position that the Army took on their soldiers' behavior.
Behavior becoming of an officer and a gentleman, something like that. Right.
So pornography was verboten for a long time. Anyway, so this law passed. And anyway, so they started talking about this law passed, and Norm just fucking goes on this porn tirade and starts talking about gay porn. It's fucking hilarious. You just have to watch it. And Maher doesn't know what to do with it. And Maher's a comic, but he's not really that good of a comic. He's kind of clever.
He's far more political and just had
he's a funny commentator. And even when he's putting his comments out on a given subject, he's not that funny. He's not Dennis Miller funny.
I was going to say he had an angry, edgy political bent, but he just didn't have Dennis Miller's rants.
No, he did not. No, he did not. Yeah. He didn't. He couldn't. Razor Fist reminds me of Miller.
Oh, God. They're from the same fucking place in Pennsylvania, is it? That's why they have that same accent. And
well, he lives in Arizona now.
But he sounds like Dennis Miller because they're from the same place.
But he does the same shit too, right? He makes obscure references, ridiculous references, comparisons. You know what I mean?
Political references.
Yeah, it's like that's like such and such doing such and such on a such and such, right?
Yeah. That's perfect. That's literally how it works.
Yeah. But yeah, Norm Macdonald, man, he is my all-time favorite comic. Of all, like, I think he's legitimately like the funniest comic. And but I was really sad when I heard he died. So sad that I've held off from getting a tattoo for my entire 51 years. But I think I'm going to bite the bullet and get this tattoo somewhere on my body, and I'll show you what it is here. Can we see it here? Do you all recognize that? Oh, let me get that out of the way. All right.
I didn't
recognize it. You know who that is? I think you know how it is, Irving, because I told you who it was.
Yeah, and see, part of my thing was at the time that he was not fired from SNL.
Yeah,
I didn't appreciate him. I didn't know how.
Yeah,
I wasn't self-aware. I wasn't as deeply aware as he was, and I didn't.
But his Burt Reynolds on the Jeopardy show with Will Ferrell,
What's his name again?
Turd Ferguson. It's a funny name. And he's halfway through, he comes out with this giant foam cowboy hat. And, Will Ferrell playing Trebek, what are you wearing? And it's like, it's a big hat. It's a funny hat. No, it's not. Yeah, it is, because it's, bigger than a normal hat. Oh, fuck. He's hilarious, man. I'm not doing it justice, obviously, but yeah, I was thinking, I don't want a tattoo like of a fucking Superman logo or Batman logo or anything like that. I want the Turd Ferguson logo on my body. And then people will see it, and some people will know what it is, and some people go, "Oh, that's a cool tattoo. What is it?" It's Turd Ferguson. It's a funny name.
I see it high on the bicep with the
yeah.
hat.
That's what,
hat on the shoulder.
I would get it high on the bicep, except that I got these scrawny little girl arms. I don't think it would look very good on the bicep.
There. Do some curls, do some extensions, give it a couple of months, and then get tattooed, buddy.
There you go.
You'll be
there you go. And then I'll stop working out, and then it'll look stupid because my arm will go back to being flabby and small.
That'll be your motivation
to keep working out,
just so that your tattoo honors Norm forever.
That's right.
Yeah.
I told a Norm joke on my channel a few days ago. You guys can all watch it if you want, if you haven't seen it already. Do you have a favorite Norm joke?
I do.
Would you like to regale us with it?
I can try. Honestly, now that I'm thinking about it and now that he's gone, you do sort of have his cadence at times.
When I want to.
There's moments where you literally sound like him. If I close my eyes, I would think that I'm listening to Norm Macdonald.
See, that's funny because someone told me I sound like Ray Romano.
Now that you say it, I hear that too. Right.
And when I'm doing Norm, I sound like Norm because I try and sound like Norm. But I don't think I sound like Norm normally.
I think if you're being self-deprecating and complaining about something, you go Ray Romano. But if you're being a little bit smarmy and you're smirking at yourself because you know what you're doing, then suddenly you're Norm. You don't have to change your voice. You don't have to do an impression. It's just your attitude in the moment. And I can see it. Yeah, I can hear it. But one of my favorites, and it's so long-winded, I don't even want to do the whole thing.
If you're talking about the moth joke?
Yep.
It's such a good joke. I did that on my channel too.
And the problem is that you have to do it. You have to drag it out. Otherwise, it doesn't pay off as well, right?
No, because it's a short joke. People asked him, how did you come up with the moth joke? And he was like incredulous, like, the moth joke? I didn't write that joke. That's an old joke. The joke is a moth goes into a podiatrist's office. He says, "Doc, I'm depressed." And the doc says, "You should see a psychiatrist. Why'd you come in here?" He's like, "Your light was on." That's the joke. But they had extra minutes on Conan O'Brien, and he had to drag it out. So he did the whole fucking bit with the Russian family. Oh, fuck, it's hilarious.
He turns it into a solid, 4 to 5 minutes.
Yeah.
What you just did in 12 seconds.
Yeah.
But I think the payoff is so much better.
Oh, it is so good. I fucking bust out laughing when I heard that joke.
And the whole time he's telling it, he's got that Norm Macdonald sort of smarmy, I know what's happening.
Yeah.
And you don't.
When do you hear this? He's giggling to himself because he's waiting. See, my dad has MS, right? And part of his MS has caused him to have sort of these emotional swings. So when he gets upset to be sad, he gets really sad and he starts to cry. He can't meter his he can't control his emotions. When he's thinking of a joke or thinking of something funny, he's laughing before he can tell it. And my brother bugs him about it a lot. And I'm like, don't fucking bug him. He can't control it. But my dad always told these goofy, long-winded, story jokes, right?
Right.
And those are my favorite fucking jokes. And I think that's probably why I like Norm Macdonald so much. Because when I think of him, I think of these bits where he's telling a long fucking story. And then it's a boom payoff at the end. Some fucking something you didn't see that's like a play on words or, it's just goofy or dad joke type stuff. But because he drags it out, It's so much better.
But you're not waiting either, right? Like that the
No,
whole
you're
time,
enjoying it. You're in the joke the entire fucking time.
because he's got that look and he knows what's happening and you don't. And
Yeah.
and he's so joyous about what he's telling you that somehow, even when the moth has lost his wife and kids to the,
Yeah,
some,
yeah.
the dark
He
Russian,
wakes up in
like,
the little late to see this ugly hag on his arm.
oh yeah, like, and,
In place of a woman I once loved.
but he's got this smirk, right? And you
Yeah.
can't help but like giggle with
He's
him
making these names up, these Russian fucking
because
names, because what he's telling is actually a Russian tragedy, you know?
and he's ridiculous, and it's just like, but he knows he's ridiculous,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
you just join in with him being ridiculous, and you feel ridiculous.
Yeah.
Such a
Yeah, you
yeah,
can't help but smile the
yeah,
entire time. You can't help but smile, and
exactly.
you're right. It's this knowing smile, this sort of impish grin. He's like, "Wait till you hear what I got. Wait till you hear what I got." Yeah, it's fucking great. That's probably one of my top Norm jokes too, but I'm not going to tell it because I told it on my channel in the car one time. And I've already blown the fucking joke.
Well, yeah, no, we covered it.
I'm trying to think of a joke that I thought that I heard that I like.
The shit. Fucking Kermit goes into, what's his name? Kermit Jagger goes into the bank. That's the other
Kermit Jagger. I haven't heard that one.
What? No, I can't. No, that's terrible because I can't remember the fucking punchline now. Oh shit! Because the
I got one. So, and I'll tell it from the first person perspective. You asked me how my wife is doing.
How's your wife doing?
She's doing okay now, but it was pretty touch and go there. Last week, she fell into a coma. Is that we don't know what happened, but she fell into a coma, and the doctor says she's in a coma, and we don't know if she's going to come out of it or not. And I'm like, oh my God, what can we do? And the doctor's like, well, there's a treatment. It's a little unconventional, but it has been known to work on occasion. If you give her oral sex, she might come out of it. And I'm like, wow, that is kind of unconventional. But, I'm willing to give it a try. So, he leaves me alone in the room with my wife. And a few minutes later, I come out, the doc, it's not working. She's choking. Oh, fuck, that's funny. Anyway, she's fine now. The doctor explained what kind of oral sex he meant, and it worked. All right, we've got Uncle G. My favorite known joke is in the movie where he's opening all the trunks of cars. They're filled with dead hookers. Yes, Dirty Work, a criminally underrated film. Have you seen Dirty Work?
No, I've heard of it. And,
oh my God, it's him and Artie Lang. Fucking Chevy Chase is in it, plays his father's doctor. God damn it, it's hilarious. If you like Norm Macdonald humor, if you don't like Norm Macdonald humor, and who doesn't like Norm Macdonald humor, you will probably won't appreciate it, but it's fucking funny. Yes, Uncle Jeezy, Dirty Work is a great movie.
Dirty Work. Text it to me. We'll I'll remember to watch it.
The premise is that he and Artie Lang are a couple of friends who've been childhood friends forever in this town, and they're kind of losers, right? And they keep, they come up with this scheme because they can't find a job, or they keep getting fired from their jobs because they're losers, that they're going to start a business where they get revenge for people. And the name of their business is Dirty Work. And it's all about, they start this business because they're like a regular 80s, Hardy Boys kind of fucking after school special kind of thing. They need to raise money for a father's operation. Anyway, it's worth watching. It's funny. I've never seen so many dead hookers in my entire life.
Yeah, that's too normal.
That's fucking him. That's hilarious.
But yeah, if you guys are interested, if you're interested, Craig, just Google search "give a frog a loan," and you'll find that joke. That
I already know the punchline.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
But that's fucking hilarious. I'm gonna tell. I may have told this on a live stream before.
The little porcelain elephant, and his name is Kermit Jagger. He's trying to secure funding for something at the bank, and he just goes on, and then suddenly he rips into this fucking.
I'll tell it.
Rhyme.
I'll tell it.
You got it?
I know it.
Okay, good. Yeah, do it.
All right. Frog hops into a bank. He hops up onto the counter. And he croaks out, "I want a loan." And so the teller says, "Well, we're not in the habit of giving loans to frogs. You better speak to our loan officer." So takes him over to the loan officer, sits down. It's a woman named Patty Black. And she says, "Miss Black, this frog here would like a loan. Maybe you could help him out." So Patty Black says, "Well, it's most unorthodox, giving a loan to a frog. Normally, when we're giving out a loan, you're a frog. You don't own a house. You don't own a car. Do you have any sort of collateral?" And so the frog, reaches into like a little satchel that he had tied around his frog waist, and he pulls out this little porcelain elephant, like a tiny little porcelain elephant.
Don't forget to ask his name.
Does it have? No, I don't.
Yeah, his name is Kermit Jagger.
Kermit Jagger.
Yep.
Okay. The frog's name is Kermit Jagger.
Yep.
See, I don't remember the Kermit Jagger part, but it'll be good nonetheless. Don't worry, people. Stay with me. So, what's your name, frog? "Oh, I'm Kermit Jagger." And so the loan officer, Patty Black, takes a look at this little porcelain elephant. And she's like, "What the hell is this? I don't know what that is." So she goes, "I better talk to the bank manager if you want this loan." So she goes into the bank manager, or not. She brings the bank manager. It says, "Mr. Jones, can you come out here? I have a loan that I need you to approve." So Mr. Jones comes out. And he says, "Miss Black, what's going on?" He goes, "Well, there's this frog here. His name's Kermit Jagger, and he wants a loan. And I asked him if he had any collateral, and he gave me this little thing. What is it?" And Mr. Jones says, "That's a knick-knack, Patty Black. Give that frog a loan."
His old man's a rolling stone.
This old man's a rolling stone?
His old man's a rolling stone.
Oh, fuck, I don't remember that part.
It's a knick-knack, Patty Black.
Give that frog a loan. Yes.
His old man's a rolling
stone. That's fucking funny. See, I didn't remember the Kermit Jagger part. It's a knick-knack. All I remember was it's a knick-knack, Patty Black. Give that frog a loan.
No, and it finished the rhyme because his old man's a rolling stone.
This old man's a rolling stone.
Yeah, he's Kermit
Mick, I guess, right?
Yeah.
There you go, folks. That's the humor portion of tonight's show.
I'm sorry we did not execute that joke correctly.
I thought it was still pretty good, without the Kermit Jagger bit. But now I know when I tell it in the future, I'll tell. I have another joke, which I don't think I've told on Ammunation before, but even if I have, it's been a long, long time.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Okay.
We love jokes here.
So there's this guy, right? Named it's kind of a physical joke. You're supposed to stand up and act out portions of it, but I'm not going to do that because we're on camera here. And so this guy, he considers himself a bit of a ladies' man. He likes to get dolled up, go out to the clubs and dance. Right? He goes into a shoe store and he buys a pair of $500 patent leather shoes, and he takes them home and he shines them up as shiny as he can get them, to the point where they're like mirrors. They're like, you can see your face in it. You can see the color of your eyes in the shoes. And he puts these shoes on. He gets dressed up in a really nice suit, and he goes out to the club and he starts dancing. He's dancing on the floor, and he spies this really hot redhead in a green dress, dancing with her friends. So, he sidles up on over to her and, gets in front of her, starts dancing in front of her, big smile on his face. And then he maneuvers his shoe to between her legs. And he leans in. He says, "Hey, those are some nice pink panties you're wearing." And she's like, "How do you know I'm wearing pink panties?" I can see them in my $500 patent leather shoes. She's like, "Oh, you pig." And she slaps him in the face and she walks away and he's laughing to himself. Anyway, so he goes back to dancing on the floor a little more, and he sees this brunette, this really long, leggy brunette in a red dress with long black hair. And he moves his way over to her. And he starts dancing with her, making eyes to her and stuff. And she's, reciprocating, saying, nodding and saying, "Oh, I see you there." And he, maneuvers his shoe just between her legs. And then he leans over to her, says, "Hey, I really like those black panties you're wearing." And she's like, "How do you know I'm wearing black panties?" And he's like, "I can see them in my $500 patent leather shoes." She says, "You pig." And she throws a drink in his face and, she runs away, right? So he's laughing. He, wipes himself off, but he's not done. He's still dancing, and he sees this beautiful blonde standing over by the bar, just sort of bopping to the music. She's wearing a nice slinky blue dress, it's cut right around, her thighs, just to mid-thigh.
I got to stop you right here for a second. I love the way you put together these color palettes. You've really nailed this. Okay, go on.
Okay. So he moves on over to this girl at the bar who she's kind of bopping. She's not really dancing. She's sort of doing that, stand dancing thing. And, he starts dancing in front of her, and she's like, "Oh, this is kind of neat. A guy's dancing in front of me." She starts dancing back with him, and he maneuvers his shoe just between her legs, and he looks down, and he looks down again, and he goes, Are you wearing underwear?" And she kind of blushes, and she goes, No, I'm not." He's like, "Oh, thank God. I thought I had a crack in my $500 patent leather shoes." My dad told me that fucking joke, but that's a Norm joke. That's something he would tell if he wanted to be crass,
Do you know a kid named Vernaculus used to do a lot of YouTube videos?
The name sounds familiar. Yeah.
Yeah, used to have like a pumpkin kind of headed fucking avatar. Anyway.
Yeah.
He had tweeted something like, R.I.P. Norm Macdonald, you'll be missed. He died of some kind of cancer. Cancer is one of the leading killers in North America. Second most effective killer in North America, O.J. Simpson. And everyone who followed him already knew that. That's exactly the kind of joke that Norm would have fucking told. And I love that kid. I wish he did still more.
There's a lot of YouTubers that kind of like sort of fell off the radar. Like, remember?
No. This kid was like a proper Orwell junkie who has since become a writer in his own right, and actually has a couple of novels out.
Oh, cool.
And he's young. He's maybe 26, 27. And is publishing his second or third book now. So I haven't read any of them, but I should, because I'm a big fan of the guy. So
do you remember a guy
buy his book?
Do you remember a guy called Internet Aristocrat?
I don't.
He's got a great voice. He's got a really good radio voice, and his avatar used to be like a French aristocrat, like a guy, like a model, like a face model with a French aristocrat wig on, and then he changed his name to Mr. Medicare.
Wait, that's Mr. Medicare?
Yeah, he used to be called Internet Aristocrat.
I know Medicare.
Yeah, he may have changed his name again to Medicare, but he's Mr. Medicare.
Yeah.
Man, he had a great channel when it was Internet Aristocrat. I mean, Mr. Medicare is essentially what he's doing the same sort of thing. I don't know why he changed it, to be honest. I think he got doxxed and people found out who he was. So I have no idea. But in any event, fuck, I miss his channel. I don't even know if he's still on. Maybe he is.
So
he?
he is, but he takes everything down as soon as he publishes it. So he does live streams and
Okay.
then removes it. And yeah, Medicare, I've got a love-hate relationship with Mr. Medicare. And like,
I don't always agree with his politics, but he
yeah,
rags on internet culture, like the idiots of internet culture, quite a bit. That's what I appreciated about him.
yeah, I'm for him because he rags on literally everybody, and he's completely irreverent, and that has an admirable quality, but sometimes he just is also cruel for no reason, for
Yeah.
no value. No
Yeah, yeah.
gain comes from the cruelty. So again, love-hate relationship, right? But yeah, no, he's still around. And
I should look him up, see what he's doing now, because I haven't. Another one I just recently discovered, It's a Gundam, and I guess he's been around for a long time, but for whatever reason, he just started showing up in my feed. You ever watch It's a Gundam?
nope.
He's this Brooklynite. I think he's a black guy in Brooklyn, but he sounds like a Brooklynite. He doesn't sound like a black guy, like the traditional stereotypical black guy. He sounds like a Brooklynite. Sounds like an Italian Brooklynite.
Yeah.
Anyway, he is hilarious. Like just the way he fucking rips on, pop culture and internet insanity and, Tumblr and Twitch and fucking TikTok and stuff like that. You should check out his channel. It's worth a laugh. It's worth a laugh.
Yeah, no, send me a link. I will.
Let's see if I can find it. I'm sure I can find it. It's a Gundam. I'm subscribed to him, I'm sure. Anyway, folks, I think we're gonna call it because I think Irving has reached the point where he's happy drunk, drunk, but not sloppy drunk.
Yeah, this is a good showing for me. Because we went 220, and yeah. No, if Greg Wycliffe shows up, then I'll still remember actually interacting with him.
There you go. I think we're down to 8 viewers right now. If you guys haven't watched It's a Gundam, I suggest you check him out. I think he's funny. I think his voice makes him really funny, but he's on a lot of these pop culture streamers like Nerdrotic and Clownfish and stuff like that. He joins their live streams and they rip on the comics industry. They rip on internet culture and pop culture and stuff. It's pretty funny channel.
Yeah. And I'm sorry, did you say down to 8 viewers? If we have 8 viewers, that's fucking phenomenal.
We had 10 at one point. We had 10 viewers at one point, which I was like, wow, 10 viewers, that's great. Now I did shill it to a couple of my buddies. I don't know if they were watching. They weren't in the chat, but I did shill it to a couple of my friends.
Well, your buddies are fucking faggots, aren't they?
Nah, they're good people, but they're busy themselves. They got shit going on.
No. But if they're watching and not chatting, come on, guys. Seriously, don't.
They're probably watching while they're playing The Hunt or whatever, or fucking Valheim, because they're all big video gamers.
Okay.
So they'll have it on in the background, and they'll be watching. They won't have time to chat. But
I'm just being unnecessarily cruel. That's all.
Why do you hate my friends?
Because they're faggots. Oh no, yeah, no. But this has been fucking great.
Yeah, it's been a good show. I hope everyone enjoyed it. I hope you all got something out of it. I think we had some good discussion. I think we were respectful towards the late great Norm Macdonald. I think we were disrespectful towards Piker Hassan, and I think we were respectful towards Nicki Minaj. So
yeah, we were all over the place, and that's sort of our brand, is just fucking stream of consciousness, but also circling back to what we were discussing earlier. That's how we do.
I didn't expect to be discussing forestry and renewable resources as long as we did.
No,
but hey,
not at all.
It's a good subject. And
cryptocurrency and
cryptocurrency. We had some good interactions though with people. These topics they resonate with the audience. So
and oddly, they somehow interact with what we were discussing. That They're part of it.
Yeah,
Whether
they
we
weren't
like it or
just saying
not.
they weren't just insulting us, calling us douchebags and stuff like that, statists. Anyway, folks, I'm gonna call it a night. I appreciate you all coming by and sticking around and watching and interacting. This video will be available on the channel after the fact, probably by tomorrow. And Irving, anything you wanna say before we go?
Just if you followed us here from the video I posted and you're not subscribed to Craig, you ought to, because I'm here a lot, he's here a lot, and we do this as much as we can. And if you like this, you're gonna like the rest, except that I might be more drunk in more streams. So
Yeah,
yeah.
and if you're not familiar with my channel, primarily what I do is I drive in my car to the park with my dog and I rant about shit. And
And
a lot of times,
if you're familiar with me, Craig is the calmer, less drunk version.
I better
That
be less
plays
drunk. I'm
things up.
driving in all my videos.
Yeah, no, yeah, you better not be drunk. Yeah, we have similar ideas. Sometimes we disagree. Sometimes this guy talks me off the ledge. But yeah, if you like me, but you want a little bit less intensity and more intellectual analysis, that's the man for you. So I hope you followed me here and you subscribe to this man.
I don't know about intellectually. You do a hell of a lot more research than I do.
Sometimes I used to.
Thanks, folks. Thanks for coming by, and have yourselves a good night.
Hail Sigmar.